In this chapter, we want to talk about the business model mechanism. What is the business model mechanism? It is a transformation process which consists of several steps. Let's start with step number 1. If you talk about the business model, it's important to know what your customer segment is, or maybe you might have even customer segments. Customer segments are target groups you want to approach with your products and your services. They should have a problem you want to solve, and that's why they're buying your products and using your services and are generating revenues at the end. What do you need to know about your customer segments? First of all, I recommend that you find out the total addressable market of your customer segment. What does this mean? This means what's the maximum number of members within your target group in your specific market. So let's make an example. Let's imagine you approach medicine students with your products and services. Then the question would be, how many medicine students are in your market? Your market might be Germany, UK, Europe, the US, or whatever your target markets are. So the question is, how many are out there? What's the maximum number of potential customers? Customer segments can be divided into specific categories. There might be B2C cases where you have a business to consumer model, so you're targeting consumers. There might be a B2B model where you target businesses, so that's why it's called B2B, which is business to business. So there might be so many other subcategories, but at the end it's important that you know what your customer segments are and how many are out there. What's the total addressable market? The next step of the business model mechanism is that you talk about how do you approach the target groups, the customer segments. This is done with marketing and sales channels. So the question is, what marketing and sales channels you might use. I give you some ideas. If you have a B2C model, so with consumers, you normally have more marketing, might be online marketing, might be offline marketing, and might be PR. If you are doing a B2B business model, then it might be more direct sales, or you might have sales partners, and so on and so forth. That are the acquisition channels. So how know the customer segments about you, your company, your brand, your products and services? The next step in the business model mechanism is that unfortunately, via the marketing and sales channels, the potential customers will not convert directly to a paying customer. So unfortunately, there might be conversion steps. So in a B2C case, I make an example. Let's imagine you offer a mobile application with a subscription model. Then the first step might be that you have social media advertisement, let's say an advertisement banner, people are clicking on it, first step. Second step is that they are linked to an app store, and there they can decide whether they download the application or not. Afterwards, the next step might be installation of the application or not. Afterwards, the next step might be opening the application, using the application or not. And then the last step might be subscribing for the subscription model. So there might be different steps. In case that you have a B2B model, it's very common that you have process steps within the direct sales process. Meaning the first step might be that the sales guy is calling a potential client to schedule a meeting 1 week later. And within the meeting, there might be a schedule for another meeting for negotiating a pilot project. And then maybe you start the pilot project some months later, and after the pilot project, maybe they actually get a real paying customer. That might be conversion steps in the B2B case. And then there's the last step of the business model mechanism. Here we talk about the revenue models. The revenue models obviously are related to your products and services. There might be different revenue models out there. It might be that you have a software license model. It might be that you have a consulting model. It might be that you have a project-based approach. It might be that you get a commission fee because you're connecting A with B. It might be that you have a marketplace. It might be that you have a so-called pay-per-use model where you pay or your customers pay per usage and so on and so forth. But with these revenue models, you ideally generate revenues, and even more ideally, you generate profit. So if you look at this business model mechanism as a whole, the mechanism, the transformation mechanism, is that you convert your potential customer segments via marketing and sales, their conversion steps, your products and services with their revenue models and pricings into revenues, into profit. That's the business model mechanism. And on a very high level, this is the same for each business model in the world. Important to know, to have a working business model mechanism, you need to make sure that you really identified a problem which is a problem of the customer segments, and your product and your services should be a solution for this problem. That's why the potential customers are paying. So that means the requirement for a working business model mechanism is that you are really solving a problem, that you really have a product market fit or a problem solution fit.